William T.
Uh,
Riker graduated eighth in his class in 57. Linars are some kind of Celtran bat, and Captain Jellico prefers a certain formality on the bridge. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are doing a review of Star Trek The Next Generation Season 6, Episode 10, Chain of Command, Part 1, story by Frank Abatimarco, teleplay by Ronald D. Moore, directed by Robert Shearer. This was December 12th, 1992, which was 4 weeks after the previous episode, so clearly there were a
Hmm.
few weeks off there. Uh, how you doing today, Sirach?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Yeah. How about you?
Doing just fine. Thank you very much. Beautiful day in Los Angeles, California. Everybody, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications. If you're listening in, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. We'd really appreciate that. And go visit us at patreon.com/the seventh rule to become part of the team, part of the community, part of the family, part of the fun. All right. Full disclosure, Sirach. I feel like I may have seen this episode before. However, you have never seen this episode before. I don't know if you've heard of the title. I don't know if you know anything about it, but theoretically speaking, your first foray into Chain of Command Part 1, what did you think?
Well, right off the top, I can say I liked it. I had heard about it. People were, this was one of those episode titles that just comes up every once in a while when
Hmm.
somebody's referencing the next generation. I'll hear them say certain titles over again. Fistful of Datas was one of them. But yes, Chain of Command is also one of those that has just come up in the thing. Best of both worlds, those kinds of
The Inner
episodes.
Light,
Yeah, you hear these
Darmok.
names, but you don't know what they mean until you watch them, and then you realize why they stand out and why they stand the test of time because it's good writing. And you ask me what I think. I think that when I see Ronald Moore's name in the opening credits of an episode, I think I'm about to get a good episode of
Yeah.
television. And I sit down and prepare myself, and I say, 9 times out of 10, this guy hits it out of the park. So I'm almost always, 9 times out of 10, Ron Moore hits a home run. There
Hmm.
is that one time where it just doesn't maybe land here or there, but that's a bunch of other factors, including
Yeah.
acting and directing and things of that nature. But 9 times out of 10, Ronald Moore hits a home run.
Yeah, and he used to be the guy that TNG and later Deep Space Nine turned to for the Klingon episodes. Remember? It was always like Ronald D. Moore was the Klingon guy. Klingon, Klingon, Klingon. Now maybe he's the Cardassian guy because upon watching this episode, I couldn't help but think this is the most insight into Cardassians and the most development of Cardassians up to date, right?
Mm-hmm.
Deep Space Nine was still not yet airing. It was about to at this time. This was
Right.
this aired a month or so before Deep Space Nine, maybe 3 weeks before Deep Space Nine pilot episode Emissary aired. So that just to put that in context, we're seeing Gul Lamek here, and we're seeing Gul Madred at the very final scene. They are being introduced at the same time as we're being introduced to a character named Gul Dukat. And, Ronald D. Moore kind of has a hand in these. And you can see how when the Cardassians first started off on TNG, they were just kind of, they were fearsome. They were something. They had these weird spongy chest plates or whatever. But now they're finally acting like the Cardassians that we know and recognize?
Yeah, and that was one thing about Gold Lamech that I liked because he kind of fit the what we now know as the archetype for the Cardassians, which is that long, lean, tall, slender,
Hmm.
kind of a long neck as well as part of it. There's just certain attributes, I guess, that they look for when they're casting because this guy had the same kind of vibe as a Marco Limo, just a little
Totally.
bit less sinister, less intimidating, less sinister than a Marco Limo.
This guy seemed a little
But
more slithery in a way, right? He was just kind of like, in fact,
well,
I
yeah,
think
well, yeah,
this
as a
actor
diplomat,
played, I
yeah,
think this actor played, speaking of slithery, I believe he played in the sixth episode of the first season. He played one of the, God, what were those guys called? The snake guys? Remember the guys with like the cobras? The
yeah.
co in Lonely
Uh,
Among Us, the I can't remember what they were called, but anyway, in Lonely Among Us with the snake guys, he played one of those, if I remember
yeah,
correctly.
well, yeah, he was he seemed to have more human attributes to some of his delivery. He was less, he seemed more of a diplomat initially, but then when the opportunity came and you saw he had the upper hand on Jellico, or at least appeared to, um, it his demeanor came out, his gamesmanship came out. I think that's one thing I enjoy about the Cardassians. I like the verbal gamesmanship that they engage with when they are going back and forth with the Federation or whoever's representing the Federation. There is a chess game being played in language between the Cardassians and whoever they look at as their adversary.
Always.
And so everything is very calculated. Everything is about trying to checkmate your opponent. And I felt like that was captured very well in this episode in the moment when Golamek started to feel he had the upper hand and was starting to come on the offensive to Jellico in that meeting that they had.
Right. So in Lonely Among Us, season one, episode six, it was the Antiquans or the Antiquans and the Cele. So these are the guys I was thinking of.
Yeah, there's no way you're going to remember somebody in that outfit.
Yeah.
That's impossible.
Anyway,
Uh, yeah.
so I'm going to go ahead and admit something to you, Sirach. I love this episode. I remember this back in the day. I had the VHS tape. I paid 19.95 for it, or I think I paid 39.95 for the two-part thing because I've seen it a lot of times. I've seen it a lot of times, and when I first saw it, it left an impression on me. It was like, whoa, whoa, Star Trek can be pretty cool if it takes it in this direction. Because this is almost like a Deep Space Nine kind of direction where you're like three people on a secret mission, right? Dealing with Cardassians and political implications of potential war and a lot of subtext, like when Golomek says, "Help, by the way, where is Captain Picard?" Ah, it would be such a shame if something would happen to such a noted officer. And we know what he's saying. We know exactly what he's saying. And Jellico's shaken up by it. Jellico's like, he's
Mm-hmm.
reassigned. He's like, okay, well, very well. If you want to take a break, that's cool with me. But really, it's all over his face where he's saying, shit, they got us.
Mm-hmm.
And like you mentioned, the checkmate, Cardassians got the checkmate at the end of this episode. And
Yes.
it's just such a good episode with so much good stuff, in my opinion. This was maybe one of the, if not the best and most memorable episodes when I was first watching it back in the day. I was like, oh man, this is good. Picard is dead. Long live Jellico, right?
Well, yeah, to some degree, yes. And by the way, this is a kind of episode that I like as well. So when it comes to Star Trek, there's several kinds of episodes, right? There's the interacting with a new species, society episode, discovery episode, where you learn about yourself or the other species that you're interacting with. There's the episodes that deal with potential war and strategy, like this episode, which I enjoy a lot, and Deep Space Nine had a lot of as well, which I think is, why I like this episode as well. Um, and and then there's the comical fantasy episode where they're in a western and whatever, and they're stuck in a holodeck program. There's those kinds of episodes, right?
Right.
And there's the kinds of episodes that I like more than others. And when it comes to this kind of episode, this is what I like because I watch this show for the adventure of space, but also for the relationships and um, getting a glimpse into a world that I can fantasize about. And that world is built upon the Federation as the main foundational piece of the ideology of Star Trek. So the more I get into Starfleet and the Federation and the inner workings of it and the chain of command of it and their mission statements and their classified briefings, the more I get into that world of this is how large functioning military bodies or whatever you want to call it, this is how they behave, right? This is how it's the structure is. And these are the kinds of scenarios in which they're faced with. This is the kinds of decisions that they have to face, whether you're infringing upon neutral zones or you're in somebody's territory or you're running a black ops mission in an unauthorized territory. This is why I want to watch the show. I like it because I like the intrigue of that kind of stuff, which is another reason why I think Section 31 has value because that leans in that same direction of the black ops and the structural chain of command of what kind of missions that Starfleet deems most necessary. So that's why I like this episode. Show
Yeah.
me the inner workings of Starfleet. Show me how the Federation is thinking. Show us how they played chess. Um, right away it started off with a great thing. Probably the shortest open I think I
Yeah.
can remember. The shortest, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
she Admiral
Nechayev.
Nechayev comes aboard and literally says, "I relieve you of your duties," or something to that effect. It
Hmm.
wasn't long. It was maybe about 30 seconds, and then
At
boom, they cut
best.
to the
Yeah.
at best, and they cut to the credits. I'm like, what the
And that's good
like?
enough.
And that was
Sometimes
it.
it's like a 5 minute intro and it's like not that great. They're
Yes,
playing racquetball or something. But this was like, I'm not here for pleasantries, bro. Here to relieve you of duty. And we're like, what?
yes. So boom, right away they cut to the chase. They're like, look, we're not going to play around with this. We're going to get you right to the point right away. And that is another thing that Ronald Moore did great. He hit the ground running with the story. We're already like, okay, tell me more. Who's in charge now? And by the way, Jonathan Frakes, every time I see him acting, as you said, like a director
Yes.
wants you to act, he gives some of the amazing facial expressions and looks, right? I mean, he's literally
So good.
stealing. It's like stealing points as a boxer, by getting those like, stomach shots or whatever little.
Totally. Totally.
He steals points as an actor.
By just saying, well, I'm going to give a really good reaction here, or a smirk, or a look, or a huh? Or what do you think, Deanno? Do we,
Yes,
what's he, or yeah,
yes,
okay, sir. Hmm.
yeah,
Like he's so good at that.
yeah,
He's thinking like a director. He's giving you something to work. He's letting
yeah,
the audience know how
yeah,
we're supposed to feel about this. That's what he's doing. He's kind of leading us. Like
yeah,
we're like, well, I don't really trust him. We look at Riker and it's, nope, Riker doesn't trust him either. Okay, I'm right. We're not
yeah.
supposed to trust
He
this
is
guy.
being an asshole. Look, Riker
Yeah,
doesn't like him.
Riker's looking like, he's very
Yeah,
skeptical. Deanna looks
yeah.
concerned, but Riker looks skeptical. He knows. He gets it.
He knows exactly, and so he literally steals points as an actor by because what it does is it makes the camera look at him, right? Because these
Yeah,
looks are so good that he's basically stealing screen time because his looks, you have to show the look. You can't not show the look. So that
it's
takes
great.
away from another actor who might have their reaction shots, and
Mhm.
so or might be speaking.
Yeah, but
His
that actor's
reaction
only
might.
there for the week, so whatever.
So right away I thought him, saying, "Excuse me, sir, but it's not necessary to have Jellico, come aboard and be the captain. I'm perfectly qualified. And the way he got shot down in that moment, first of all, the initial look when he heard that, he looks over at Marina's
Yeah.
like, she's looking at him like, are you like, she's communicating telepathically
Yeah.
with Riker, like,
Because the first thing he's thinking is, well, what am I, chopped liver? I've been doing this
yeah,
for 5 years. And they're like, yeah, and you've had a chance to move up and be a captain to other places a bunch of times. And so whatever. You had your chance. We're bringing in Jellico, who's 10 times the captain that Picard is, everybody knows. Captain Edward James Jellico is the greatest captain in the history of Star Trek. Everybody knows it. And that's why he takes over for Captain Picard starting right now. Did
yeah.
you
I don't
know
know
that
about the
you were
greatest,
did you
but
know you were
I
watching Picard's final two episodes in Next Generation
yeah,
and then now it's the
no.
Jellico show?
Let me ask you, because I swear I've seen Jellico's face before. Did we see him before in the show? He must have
N-
come before.
no,
This is the
never.
first time I've seen this guy. That's what you're telling me.
Well, maybe not. He was
Okay.
in Prodigy. He returned in
Okay. No. No.
Prodigy.
Okay. Yeah. No. Okay. So I did hear his voice then. Okay. Because I
Yeah,
didn't. I was like, where did I know this Jellico guy? Okay, that's what it Prodigy. So let
I
me
thought he
erase
was
that
going to
because I
come
don't even
back in
remember
Lower
that.
Decks. There
Yeah.
was, I think, at the end of season 2 or 3 of Lower Decks, and Captain Freeman was being dragged away. Maybe it was season 4, 3 or 4. She was
Yeah.
being dragged away, Captain Freeman, from her duties on the ship. I can't remember why. At the
Yeah.
end of that season, and then the next season, we're gonna find out what happened. I swear I was willing to bet money that Captain Jellico was gonna pop up in Lower Decks, turn everything into a 4 shift rotation, and we're gonna do all the stuff that we did in Next Generation, where they're like, "Wait, why are we doing a 4 shift rotation? What's going on with this? I can't sleep." But they didn't. She was back pretty
Okay.
quickly or something like that. But anyway, I was
Well,
sure.
he
But he
came
did
on.
come in Prodigy.
He came out on the ship like a bat out of hell. Like he looked super confident and super
Had a job to do.
like no, like I do it this way. It wasn't just like I have a job to do.
Hmm.
It was like I want you to do this, I want you to do that. I want us meeting at 1400 hours. I need you to get this done, that done. Like he came through with the fourth shift, this make sure we get senior staff at 1300 hours.
Prepare
Like
for war. Like we don't have time. We gotta get ready for war. We gotta
so he
change
hit the ground
everything.
running.
Yeah. And he knows Cardassians very well. He likened them to timber wolves. Ooh, cautious by themselves, but more bold in numbers or something like that, right? And then, of course, then they like went back and played basically tennis with that analogy, where then Troy goes like, "Well, the thing with timber wolves is one of them might end up dead." He goes, "Well, if we're doing timber wolves, then the key is to be the one that's still saying, okay, we get it, guys, we get it. Okay, we don't have to play." Analogy chess or metaphor chess. Like we
Yeah.
get it. Okay. Anyway, but that was still cool.
What?
It's a good line.
Yeah, and he kind of got he went at Troy too. He was like, "Yeah, Troy, let me not see you wear that outfit anymore."
That's
I thought
badass.
that was I thought that was kind of he was really laying down the law when he got on board.
Well, a lot of people will, oftentimes complain about, why are they making Troy wearing some skimpy outfit while everybody else is in a uniform? And maybe he thought the same thing where he's like, yeah, like you're a Starfleet officer. I don't need to see all that. I'm like, what's going on? He came and he
He
laid down the law with
did.
everybody, and everybody
I
watching
did.
this knows he's the greatest captain in the history of Star Trek.
Yeah, he laid down the law. But you know what else? I was disappointed because Data turned into a real ass kisser, and I didn't know. I
That
didn't know that was possible,
that
man.
just makes that just makes Jellico really smart because he tells Riker to do something. Riker kind of resists a little bit. he talks to Troy. Troy's kind of like, well, actually, I think you need to, worry about people's feelings. He tells Data to do something. Data's like, yep. How high do you want me to jump, sir? And he's like, Data, you're with me. Yep, this is my guy right here. This is my guy. You
Yeah.
are with me. Follow me everywhere, Data. You know everything and you do everything I tell you to do.
Yeah, and he turned into a real, brown nose. Uh, I couldn't believe it. I was like, because this is when I knew Data had really flipped. This was the moment. Jellico's telling Jordy, I need 15% more optimism, like more optimization out of the warp core
Data
or
kept
whatever.
selling him out, man. He kept going, well, theoretically,
Yeah.
you could do that if you don't sleep, Jordy. Just get to it.
Yes. Yes. And Jordy's like, you can tell he's like, it's crazy how well, LaForge is able to do that too. Because I felt his facial expression. He's looking at Data like, are you serious, Data? Like, bro.
He's staring holes in him right now.
Yeah, he literally was laser beaming him at that. He was throwing daggers with his eyes, and I just felt. And then Data as was walking away, he looks back like like yeah, you could do that. Yeah, I got that done. Such a brown nose, such a teacher's pet. A little bit disappointed. Data didn't stick up a little harder.
But that's exactly the type of person he would be. He's like, he doesn't take sides. Even when somebody's picking on him, he goes, well, you
Yeah,
are theoretically correct that I'm an android with no feelings. I'm not a human at all. Uh, so it's funny though when somebody's like totally screwing over his friend and his friend's like, I can't do that. And Data's like, on the contrary, Jordy, I believe you can. It's theoretically possible. And Jordy's like, shut the fuck up, Data. I swear to God, this is not helpful. This is not helpful, bro.
yeah. It's like the friend that snitches on you. Actually, last night you were at the bar drinking, and you're like,
Yeah. Yeah, you don't remember that? Remember you had two Mai Tais and a Long
yeah,
Island, and then you left with that girl. You don't remember that?
yeah.
You must have been too drunk.
You're like, bro, what are you doing? Just because
Yeah.
the new guy gets here, you don't start snitching, bro. What's up with that? So I was a little disappointed. I guess Data's loyalty doesn't transfer under new administration.
No, yeah. So, and it's good too, but actually the other side of that though is it does show how intelligent Data is that now that he knows that for the next 50 episodes, Edward Jellico will be the captain of the USS Enterprise 1701D. They will have a four shift change, and you know, Troy is going to be wearing her awesome blue uniform, which, by the way, looks freaking awesome on her.
She
And
did look good, amazing. Did.
Picard's gone forever. Who knows what's up with Beverly and Mr. Woof. Um, Actually, let's jump to our break real quick. But I did think it was really awesome to think like, okay, who's left there? We have Jellico, Riker, Troy, Data, Geordi. That's a cool crew. And then, Picard, Beverly, and Worf was also a cool crew. I love when they have like those split offs because
I
it gives
know. I
people
thought
a
about the
chance.
same thing.
It gives
And I
people a
always think
chance
about
to.
you when it's an away team. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, the away team is Picard, Worf, and Crusher.
Yeah,
And I'm like, that's so I actually write it in my notes.
me too.
Basically Ryan's away team.
Yeah,
Um, so it's funny you put that in my head. But let's talk about on the other side because I want to talk about some of that away team stuff. You
sounds
know,
good. Everybody, stick
yeah.
around. We will be right back on the seventh rule with the greatest captain of all time, Edward Jellico.